Yeah, I'm happy I don't got to do another Baldur's Gate video. Really starting to get sick of those, man. In today's video, we're talking all things defense. Saving throws, armor. What? This is for Baldur's Gate? You gotta be kidding me. Welcome back. In today's video, we'll be talking all things defense related in Baldur's Gate 3. Armor, shields, armor class, saving throws, all of which are very important to understand, so you want to stick around for the entire video. Some of the information we are getting from watching Baldur's Gate 3 gameplay, but as always guys, keep in mind we haven't seen everything demonstrated, so we'll also be looking at the 5th edition rule set from Dungeons & Dragons, which will form the backbone for the mechanics behind Baldur's Gate 3. As time goes on, I will continue to update these videos as we learn more, and if you guys end up enjoying this video, please subscribe for there's much more to come. Let's talk defense. Armor. Throughout your playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, you'll probably have access to a variety of armor types, ranging from leather armor to chainmail to expensive plate armor and much more. Armor will be divided up into 3 separate categories: light, medium, and heavy, which we'll talk about in a minute. It is likely that your character will have or obtain proficiency in one or more of those types of armor, and like with weapons where it benefits you to use a weapon that you're proficient in, you're going to want to also use the type of armor you have proficiency in as well. It is possible that in Baldur's Gate 3, the game might not even let you equip armor that you're not proficient in. However, if they do allow you to wear anything and you don't stick to your proficiencies, you will suffer from some negative side effects. These negative side effects will be you will gain disadvantage on any ability check, saving throw, or attack roll that involves strength or dexterity. What that basically means is you'll roll 2 die instead of 1 in those situations, but be forced to use the lower dice outcome. You'll also not be able to cast spells. So yeah, you're going to want to stick to armor that your character is proficient in. Now there's more than one way of gaining armor proficiency, but the simplest, most common way is from the class that you choose to play. For example, if you decide to play a rogue, your character will be naturally proficient in light armor. If you play a druid, you will gain proficiency in light and medium armor, while a fighter and paladin will grant you armor proficiency in all armor types, meaning you can wear any armor you want and not suffer from disadvantage. In some races, like the dwarf, may also give you extra armor proficiencies. So what does armor actually do for your character? The type of armor you have on will help determine your armor class. So what is armor class? Armor class is the number the game assigns each character, you and your opponents, based on the character's defenses. That armor class number must be tied or beaten when an attack roll is done to determine if you or your opponent hits or misses yours or theirs strikes. For example, if you have an armor class of 16, when it's your opponent's turn to attack you, they will make their attack roll first and have to tie or get higher than your number of 16 to be successful in hitting you. It has nothing to do with the damage done, only to do with if a strike hits or misses. If you don't understand the basic terms I am using so far, make sure to go back on my channel and find some of the beginner's guides to help you obtain a good foundation before you get too confused. Now, armor class isn't just based on your armor worn. It can be the result of dexterity, natural defenses, or magical wards. It's a numerical value representing how hard it is for an adversary to hit you. Let's do another example. Say that you're in combat and you're currently using a bow, and now it's your turn, and you decide to take a ranged shot at the angry orc that you are fighting. When you take this shot, the first thing the computer will do is do an attack roll for you and put your results up against your opponent's armor class. In this situation, you're fighting an orc who has an armor class of 16. So you take your shot, the computer does your attack roll, which is a roll of a 20-sided dice, and let's say that you roll a 10. After the game adds your modifier and proficiency bonus, you end up with a 14. The orc's armor class, like we said, is a 16, so sadly your arrow will miss. The orc owes his thanks to 2 things: you getting unlucky with your attack roll against him, and the armor he is wearing is good. Now when it's the orc's turn, he runs up to you and swings his axe. The computer will put him through the same process against your armor class that you went through against him to see if he lands his strike or misses. I know I say this in every video guys, but keep in mind that these attack rolls and putting the results up against armor class will all be done instantly via behind the scenes computer calculation. You're not actually rolling dice or doing math in the video game. Alright, so far we've talked about the importance of being proficient in the armor that you use to avoid disadvantages, as well as what your armor class is. So now let's talk about the types of armor and how they specifically affect your character. In D&D, when you get armor, you basically get the set of armor. You don't put on leg armor and then try to find a good chest piece, etc. You either have the armor or you don't. When you have armor, that armor has an armor class associated with it, depending on its type. For example, you don't find boots with an armor class number and then try to find a chest piece that offers armor, then add them together. You just have one set. Now you can find magical helmets and gloves and stuff like that, but they do not affect your actual armor class number. Instead, they might have effects such as letting you cast certain spells at will, or maybe a magical helmet boosts up your intelligence or something of the sort. From the Baldur's Gate 3 demonstration, it's hard to tell the exact system that they are going with. For all I could find for armor was a cuirass, but whatever they do go with, it will be beneficial to understand the different types of armor, so let's go over them. Light armor. Light armor is made from supple and thin materials and favors agile adventures since it offers some protection without sacrificing mobility. Your light armor will have a base number, and you will add your dexterity modifier to that base number to determine your armor class number. Naturally, characters who favor the dexterity ability will benefit the most from wearing light armor. There also might be different types of light armor, and if Larian implements this, it will likely be at least these three: padded, leather, and studded leather. If we take a look at this armor index card, you can see that these three different types of light armor all have their own base armor class associated with them. Padded and leather both have an armor class of 11 plus your dexterity modifier, and the studded leather has 12 plus your dexterity modifier. Now if we look to the right, you will notice that padded armor will give you disadvantage on stealth, while the other two types of light armor do not have that. If your armor gives disadvantage on stealth, it means that when the game gives you a dexterity stealth ability check, you will roll 2 dice instead of 1 and be forced to take the lower of the 2 rolls, something to consider depending on your playstyle when choosing the armor that you will wear. Medium armor. Medium armor offers more protection than light armor, but it also impairs movement more. Not in terms of making you slower when you're walking or anything like that, but wearing medium armor will only allow you to use a maximum of +2 as a dexterity modifier for your armor class. So if you have a dexterity modifier of +3 and you're wearing light armor, you get the full 3 added to your base armor class number. If you're using medium armor, you can only add a maximum of +2. On the armor chart here, you can see under all of the medium armor types that they have the max 2 labeled next to them. For medium armor, there will be hide, chain shirt, scale mail, breastplate, and half plate. Some have higher base armor class than others, while some give you disadvantage on stealth. And lastly is heavy armor. Heavy armor consists of ringmail, chainmail, splint, and plate. You will not be able to add your dexterity modifier to your base armor class number when wearing heavy armor. Also, if you notice over to the right of the chart, from chainmail and down, you see the word strength followed by a number. These specific types of heavy armor will require you to have a certain strength ability score to wear them effectively. If you do not have enough strength, your movement in the game when in combat will be reduced by 10 feet. So basically, if you want to move to attack someone or get out of the way, you're going to be severely hampered. And all heavy armor gives disadvantage on stealth checks. Now let's talk about shields. If you're looking to boost your armor class number even more, and you have an open hand available, you may use a shield if you're proficient in shields. Classes that offer this proficiency right upon character creation will be the Barbarian, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Paladin, and Ranger. In D&D, all shields give you a +2 to your armor class number. It does not matter how cool your shield looks or how small it is, you will get to add 2 to your armor class. It is possible that in Baldur's Gate 3, they will not follow these rules, and maybe they will instead give shields their own individual armor class numbers, such as a small wooden shield might be +1 to your AC, and a huge metallic shield may be +3. I'm not really sure, but if you understand the basics of the D&D rules, when we see what Larian Studios actually does, it should be easy to understand. So last up when talking about defense is saving throws. I will probably dedicate an entire video to saving throws at some point in the future, but let's talk about the basics. So what is a saving throw? A saving throw, also called a save, is an attempt to resist a spell, trap, poison, disease, or similar threat. A saving throw is done by rolling a 20-sided dice and adding your ability modifier, as well as a proficiency bonus if applicable, and putting that number up against the difficulty class of the effect you are trying to resist. The difficulty class, or DC, will be a number that is assigned to the harmful effect that you are trying to resist. and you have to tie or get higher than the DC with your saving throw to avoid or reduce the negative effects headed your way. If you get lower than the DC, you fail your saving throw, and unfortunately, you will suffer the full consequences. You don't normally decide to make a saving throw, the game will do them for you automatically when the situation calls for it. And also, since we're dealing with the video game here and not the tabletop, when a saving throw situation arises, the game will just instantly do it for you, and you will either be successful or fail. Keep in mind though that your enemies and other creatures may make saving throws as well when you are attempting to do something nasty to them. Situations that force saving throws on a character or opponent will deal with one of the 6 abilities: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. The situations that call for a saving throw vary, but here are some general examples. Strength saving throws will be conducted when you are opposing a force that would physically move or bind you. Dexterity saves are for situations such as dodging out of harm's way. Constitution saves are for enduring a disease, poison, or other hazard that drains your vitality. Intelligence saves typically deal with resisting mental assaults. Wisdom saves deal with deception, fear, or other forms of mental manipulation. And charisma saves deal with anything you resist by sheer will, rather than simply being aware of its unreality. So let's go through a full example now. Say an enemy is using poison on his arrows, and he is successful in his attack roll, meaning his arrow will hit you. You will take damage from the arrow from his damage roll, but you will also automatically do a saving throw to attempt to resist his poison, or at least reduce its effects. His poison will have a DC number associated with it, which is difficulty class, and in this case, let's say it's a 16. Since poison deals with the Constitution ability, your character will attempt to make a Constitution saving throw. So the game will instantly roll the 20-sided dice, and let's say that you roll a 13. The game will then add your Constitution modifier, which for this character, let's say, is a +2, and also add your Constitution proficiency bonus if you have proficiency in Constitution saving throws, which this character does, and let's say their proficiency bonus is +2. Now your roll of 13 has turned into a 17, and you have succeeded in your saving throw, avoiding the effects of the poison on his arrow. So the DC of the poison was 16, your Constitution saving throw was 17, so you are successful. So each class in Baldur's Gate 3 will have proficiency in 2 types of saving throws. So your class choice will determine if you get to add your proficiency bonus in whichever situation you are in. So say if you're playing a rogue gets saving throw proficiency in dexterity and intelligence. If that rogue has to make a Constitution saving throw from a poison, he or she will not get to add their proficiency bonus, for they are not proficient in Constitution. But if that rogue has to do a dexterity saving throw to avoid a trap, he will get to add his dexterity proficiency to his saving throw. I will go into further details on saving throws in a future video. It can be a little bit confusing. So that's the basics for defense in Baldur's Gate 3. Hopefully it didn't confuse you guys too much. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's a huge help to my videos. I really appreciate it. I do all sorts of content on this channel, ranging from comedy videos to live streams to game tutorials to product reviews, etc. I would love to see some of you guys on a future video. Much more Baldur's Gate 3 content on the way. Until next time.